Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCG live codes, make sure you check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using that code OmniPoke. For today's video, we are going to be looking at some post-EUIC online tournament results. We have 8 events to look at here, where we will be breaking down the top 8 deck lists. These are all over 100 player tournaments, and like I said, all after the EUIC, so knee-jerk reacting to that metagame. We will start off with the late night 91, and the winner was Giratina with an 11-0 record, which is pretty impressive overall. Not too much standing out in this list. I think seeing the spaces for Pokegear is pretty nice, and also seeing the double Roxanne, something we haven't really seen too often in Giratina. You attribute that more so to the likes of Goodra of old. And also there's the triple stadium split where we're seeing Path to the Peak as well as Temple of Sinnoh. The Path can be handy for all sorts of reasons. It can be good into the Arc decks that are playing Radgardy. It can be good into, sometimes alongside this Roxanne, things like Gardy EX as well. So yeah, has some definite benefits there, and is a little bit cheeky with the one copy of the Cram, and at least has the gears. That's something that I like to see. It's quite skimpy on these switch outs though. 1 switch, 2 rope, 2 cart. That's pretty low overall. But yeah, it seems to do pretty well. Nice to see. We have a Mew in second place, the DTE-based build of Mew. This is not quite the same as Pablo 60, but it's definitely inspired by, as you can see by the support account. It's playing 1 less Gust effect, it's playing an additional Forest Seal Stone, and has also dropped a Path for an extra Feather Ball, and has flip-flop Switch Cart and Rope. Basically, looks like some preference changes. Also has space for Hisuian, so actually quite a few differences to Pablo's 60. But same concept, we know that Mew is still very good. A lot of people seem to be dropping the Oricorio, which might actually make Snorlax a better card in Lost Box, just a random observation. But yeah, something to bear in mind. We then have a fusion-based build of Mew. We often see these, far less than the DTE-based builds. This is playing double Deoxys and double Meloetta, so very one-prizey. Here we go, the Champions Festival finding its way into all sorts of decks, apparently. It's a very, very mild help against Lost Zone Box, I suppose. Surely Crystal Cave is actually better in this situation. It's got the Cleansing Gloves, though. I definitely like this tech card. I profiled Mew earlier in the week. It has Penny as well. So, yeah, Penny can pick up some damaged Genesects and other Pokemon when need be, to, again, try and frustrate some Lost Zone players. Has the 1 Judge, the 1 Rocks. A little bit cheeky on consistency cards, but looks pretty okay. That's kind of what you have to do to make the space in the fusion-based build. We then have another Giratina doing well. Again, this is playing the double Rocks and the Gears. I like to see it. This one has a few more switch cards, which definitely is nice to see. Playing no Courts, though, in this occasion. And is only playing 10 energy total. That's really low on energy. I suppose choosing to play double Recycler instead of one of those energy cards. We have our first Lost Zone box, and this looks to be a turbo-based build with the Forest Seal Stones, the Dragonite. This is looking pretty normal, I want to say. Not too much spicy stuff going on here. Nice to see that sometimes the turbo build just has to play maximum outs of things. So Guardy's been picking up in popularity post-EUIC for obvious reasons. And this looks to be a Tord net deck, but has cut a research for a worker. Is also playing an additional... Actually, it's not quite a Tord net deck, because it's playing some different things here. It's only playing 1 stadium, an extra worker. It's playing an extra boss for a research, I suppose. It's choosing to play Clara as well, actually instead of Miriam. So a few preference changes, I suppose. It's only playing 3 Curliers. Why would you do this? It's so good. Okay, wow. To play an extra Candy, and it's playing double Guardy as well. So yeah, definitely some interesting changes there. I mean, I think Tord got so much right, but whatever. Hard to argue against Tord. We then have another turbo-based build of Lost Zone box. Unsurprisingly, Lost Zone box is going to continue to be pretty good with the uptick in Gardevoir play. because the turbo build definitely puts a lot of pressure on Guardy with a fast Sableye and a fast Greninja. We then have another build. This is much more like towards 60, right? This actually is towards 60. So, yeah, feel free to net deck a Tord list. Never gonna do you wrong, I don't think. So that's our first top 8. And this was... How many people was in this one? Quite a few, because this is one of the late nights, right? Yeah, 208 players. Metagame was Lost Zone Box and Guardy most popular. A lot of Lugia percentage going, actually. Lugia was like the second most popular deck heading into the EUIC. Tina picking up a bit more play. I think it makes sense for Tina to see play, because it's quite good into Guardy and is good into the Goodra, which did quite well at EUIC. So it definitely makes sense from a metagame perspective for a small uptick in Giratina. We then have the later night, where we have a Goodra winning, actually. And this looks like a pretty streamlined Goodra. It's playing the V-Guard energy over one of the waters. It's also playing Recycler, which you don't always see in Goo. Playing Double Belt as well. I know some people are big fans of Double Belt in this list. Quite skimpy on the ball search, but it's fine. Has the right hand to join in with the Melanies. Yeah, looks like pretty good Goo stuff going on. We have a second place Rapid Strike toolbox with Intel and Urshi, of course. Just playing the one Drapion. I don't think one Drapion does enough. It's 2 or 0 for me. I found that out with testing. It's a pretty clean support account overall. Yeah, looks actually pretty solid, to be honest. Not too much fluff in the list, which is my biggest concern about a deck like this, because it is so like setup reliant that having a pretty clean list is the best way to succeed. There is still Guardy Mewtwo knocking around as well. This is obviously still did very well at the EUIC. It won seniors, so don't write off this build just because Tord brought a different approach. The Mewtwo V Union is still very powerful and dangerous. Only a couple of research in this one. Is playing a ton of one-off supporters and the Palpad stuff. But yeah, it's still pretty streamlined. Essentially, this deck takes a lot of the spaces and just doesn't play Candy, just to accept that you're going to catch up later with like Roxanne Mewtwo plays, essentially. That's kind of the main differential between regular and Guardy Mewtwo's. We have a Mew making top 4. This is playing Silene over the Avery that we saw from Pablo. Again, choosing to play the second copy of Feather, but otherwise pretty straightforward. Very similar overall. We have some Lost Zone box. This is a Kyogre build with double Snorlax. You don't see that too often. Usually you would see different energies like scattered in here, like possibly a Zamazenta and some metal energies, possibly dark energies for a Galarian Moltres, but just playing double Lax is really surprising to me. But it still has that Kyogre finish combo, which is still really, really powerful. This looks similar to Moffat's list, I think, where it plays the one Pokestop and no Gust supporter, just plays like ropes and tries to use that with Kyogre when it needs to. So yeah, it's taken that sort of like Moffat shell, but kind of simplified the energy and the Pokemon attackers. Not a bad idea. Kyogre's still very strong, don't forget. See another Guardy Mewtwo doing quite well. This is playing a cheeky Arven. Only playing 3 Curlier. Oh, so it's playing Mewtwo and Candy. So this one's made... Wow, where are the spaces come from? Oh, the energy count is super low. Okay. Really eating into your energy count this time. I suppose because you have Final Burn and Belt, you can just do it with Mewtwo instead. It also feels so weird to play it. Like... You're trying to play a tempo game plan even though you've got these 4 clunky cards in your list. It doesn't sound right to me. It feels like you're playing two... Like, it's got to be Candy or Mewtwo. I don't feel like you can play both. You sacrifice too much. Or you have to high roll too much. It's like one of those things. We have a Turbo Lost Box. Again, it seems like this is getting refined and still just doing well. Turbo seems to be really outperforming Sky right now. And I think that makes sense if we're expecting a lot of Gardevoir. But Sky is still fine into the meta. We then have a Turbo Guardy This looks very similar, again, to Tord's list. Playing the Serena over Research, which is the cut that I've made. Doing the Fog Psychic thing, which I'm also a fan of. It's playing Beach Court, though, which is a surprise over Collapsed. And it's playing no Luminion. Luminion's so good, though. Rip. It's just playing an extra candy instead. Luminion gets you into the game, though. Anyways, let's go on to another top 8, where we have Lost Zone Box winning the entire thing. And it's, once again, the Kyogre build with the double Snorlax. Okay, well, here we go. Lost Box just being good is certainly a thing, and Kyogre is a big finisher combo. We have more Guardy Mewtwo. This one is playing Klefki, so a defensive base build this time around. This is more similar to the senior winning list, where you have the Klefki to try and buy you just a couple turns while you build behind with Curlier. Slow down those Lost Box engines. This time we have a hybrid, the double stones, where we've got that aggressive play sometimes available. It's also playing the Arven for that like extra way into VIP, but also an extra way of just finding the right stone at the right time. This kind of sits in that slot that sometimes you would see Raihan, where it's helping you get the right stone piece, but also getting you like an extra switch card or an extra ball search card, which is also pretty solid. Arven, another way to stadium bounce as well, allows you to hit vacuum for your Drapion play. So it seems pretty solid here. Has the Snorlax in here as an extra single prize attacker. Pretty good going. Oh, that's actually a Hedrick. Pretty nice list. We have a Arc Drago, hello, playing a 2-2 Lipard line to try and trade away your dragon chaps. And this is my fear with Regidrago, that you have to play Mesagoza Aroma to try and get the gang out. Oh my goodness. You gotta do what you gotta do. This deck is playing no Nest Ball. It is just playing Coin Flip Search for its basics. And Ultra Balls. It's playing Shoes over Nest Balls. Oh my word. Yikes. My goodness. This is something. You'd think Nest Ball would be even stronger because you're not only wanting Drago and Arceus, but also Purloin. Wow, that is something. That really is something. It's playing Energy Recycler. What is going on? Why? Oh my word. There's a lot going on in this list. I tried to build Arc Drago in the post-rotation format, realized I had to put in Capturing Aromas, and said I'm done. Honestly. My goodness. Okay, we have a Tord Guardy. We have a Mew that is Pablo Mew. There's no shame in playing the list that just did really well, of course. They did well for a reason. We have an Arctina with the Bib and Squovit combo. It's got some shoes of its own, but look, nice Nest Balls to actually get into the game. That's always nice. Yeah, this looks like a pretty standard list. This one's also playing Recycler. What's with this wave of Energy Recycler in Arc decks? Not a fan. Do not approve. Alright, so we have a Goo. Also playing that Crystal Cave. Crystal Cave versus Sinnoh is kind of a weird one. Like, Sinnoh, without Sinnoh, you literally just scoop to modern Lugias now. Sinnoh is still like a low percentage card that you can use, but without it, you literally just scoop Lugia like on the spot. So that's always going to be my backup stadium in Goo, I think. Or honestly, even my primary going forward. We move on to the $130 store credit tournament. Love to see it. It's actually an Arctina winning. This is okay. Wow, so it's the same thing again, where we have the Recycler. I feel like other than the Recycler in this list, the rest of the list looks pretty solid, to be honest with you here. Yeah, that's the one thing I'm not a fan of. The rest is looking pretty nice. And Arctina is still just a decent deck, right? You're still just trying to do the Judge Path stuff. It's just like another way of playing Mew, essentially. A Mew for those who were tilted by Drapion, essentially. We then have a Lost Tina doing well. This one's made the space for the Lax, and it's playing Double Temple. Interesting. This is obviously one of your ways around Lugia's V Guard energy, but also their gift energy. but V-Guard so that you can impact through their stuff. It's playing the Thornton. Hello. It's got a pretty healthy switch out count. Very high energy count, but the one recycler, that's kind of the trade-off you're going for. I still feel like the grass energy is the weakest of the energy if you were going to do the flip-flop. And just the 2-2 Tina, that's how it's made all this space, right? So it's playing 2-2 Tina with Thornton Snorlax. This is something that we did like way back at the start of Lost Origin meta, right? Honestly, I'm kind of a big fan of 2-2 Tina. I want so much stuff in my Tina list that I can't fit all the Tinas. So that makes sense to me. We have a Tord Guardy going in there. We have another Arc Tina. These seem to have been doing pretty well in the online events. And it seems to all be very similar lists. This one's playing Dunsparce and Drapion, so a few additional techs in here. Playing an Arven as well. Arven doesn't sound that great to me. With only belts as like your option. Yeah, that doesn't sound all that strong. I suppose for Ultra Balls, unlocking your hand so you can bid for more cards is good, but man, Tina has done really well in this week or so of events. Again, we're seeing the triplet stadium going on in this build. Pretty nice stuff. This is again playing that one cram, so stuff that we've seen earlier on in the week. Might be the same players. I'm not really tracking the names of players, I'm afraid. We have an old age Lugia. So Lugia hasn't been doing well at all in the tournaments that we've seen so far. Really not performing too well. And this is like an old school build that doesn't play the Dura, which I think is like massively scary, right? This is playing no Respect to Mawile and playing no Dura. And there's always going to be that tipping point of people not teching for Mawile, so then the techs are like good again, or the Mawile's good again. So I'm personally just going to be like, right, I'll just play my Penny, I'll just play my Thornton in whatever deck I'm playing. If I'm worried about Mawile trapping, I'm just going to be the one saying I'm not losing to a stupid one-off card that anyone could put into their deck because it's a colorless attacker. And then the Duraludon is like for Lugia mirrors these days. I'm personally going to be better safe than sorry about it, but it's up to you guys. So the Mimikyu EX has found its way into this Guardy list. I think it's just objectively quite wrong. This is trying to be, I should explain it, it's trying to be the Alolan Vulpix answer, right? But you could play Rope, you could play Path, and you could just play an additional Gust effect in general and give yourself that chance. Like, yeah, I don't get it. It's just far worse than Azashin in every other situation. It's just so inferior. The only other thing it can do is one retreat into a Mew that Azashin can't do, but if you're in that situation with Azashin, you just attach Raw and pass. Yeah, Mimikyu is objectively... Like, I get it because you're not having to spend a space, you're just cutting Azashin for a Mimikyu, but it's really not a good trade-off, I don't think. Azashin's just so much more important. We then have a Mewtwo Guardy. This one is playing Champs Fest and Double Arcana. Interesting. So I feel like Champs Fest has to go... Like, if ever you're going to play Champs Fest, you have to play Double Arcana to make it make sense. This one's playing no candies. It is playing a carrier, though, which is interesting. And it's playing those Clef Keys. This looks pretty okay, to be fair. I like this. When you're playing the Mewtwo build, it's either always Sinnoh or Sinnoh plus other. So yeah, pretty nice. Top 8 there. We'll go on to the Sunny's Weekly 100. We have another Tina. So Tina finally coming to play. I really don't like a 2-3 count. The 2-3 count is so objectively wrong. You have so many more outs to the Tina than the V-Star. Flip-flop that bad boy straight away. Also, we see a cancelling Cologne. I don't know how you have the draw engine to support this, but I suppose you're trying to Cologne against exactly Lost Zone box, and they don't hand disrupt you. So you can go Gust, Cologne, Yeet. Definitely a scary card. But yeah. Nice. So maybe all this Tina's coming to play to answer all these Arc decks that have been doing well recently. We have an Arc Tina as well. Seems like the Barrel Squove is doing bits. I don't know if people are just net decking this list or it's the same people doing well over and over again with it, but everyone is playing that Recycler and it's tilting me every time I see it. We have another Lost Zone variants. So Tina's just everywhere in these results right now. My goodness. Getting some insane records. Were we wrong all along? Were we baited by the Lost Zone boxes and Tina's just OP? We have a turbo-based build. This is back to the Pidge as well. Turbo build is kind of okay playing 1 cram because you just try and bypass the 4 and go straight to 7. So that's reasonable. We have a Mew. Playing a Penny as well. So Penny's a little bit cheeky. I definitely like the cleansing gloves. I've made my statement on gloves already, but the Penny's kind of nice for being a disruptive option against Lost Zone box. I don't know if it's better or worse than a Collapsed. I have to think it through. I think because you only play 8 basics, the Penny might be stronger at undoing Sable Sprinkle. We have a Guardy. This one's playing, wow, really high on stage 2s. Gallade and double Arcana, and, well, yeah, obviously double EX, but yeah. This one's playing Thornton as well, so you can Thornton into the Zacian, or out of it if need be. I feel like Thornton makes more sense if you actually play the Luminion, right? It's also playing Agatha. This is another way that you can get your Guardy into the action, where you move 3 off onto the opponent's active, so it's like a plus... What is it, plus 60? No, it's more. It's plus 90, right? Because 3 counters off this Guardy lets you go 2 more energy on. So yeah, that's a lot of damage. That lets you wall break, essentially. I think if you're going for the Agatha, maybe... Do you even just cut the Zacian Skysteel at that point? And just say, like, let's just play... No, because Zacian's still good against Lost Box, just as a body, essentially. But yeah, the Agatha can certainly push the Guardy into some beefy hits. Back to a Jelly as well. I suppose if you're leaning more into Shining Arcana, that's pretty good. We then have a Zard-based build that's also playing Moltres. That's so weird, because they kind of swim in the same pool, right? The Charizard's good late and the Moltres is good late, so... That feels really strange that you have options for both. It's also playing Defiant Bands over Belts. I guess the upside is you can get your Moltres in the action earlier with Defiant Band against Guardy. And if a Guardy EX is attacking and it's damaged itself with its own ability, Charizard can knock it out, perhaps. But these would be matchups you're probably ahead anyway. Yeah, I'm struggling to see why Defiant Band's better than Belts here. You can try and create your prize map to be slightly strange when you try and like Lost Mine things into range and go behind in prizes and stuff, but I'm struggling to see how that's better than just Belts. And I'm also I think Moltres is very good in a Greninja based build, and Charizard is just the late game attacker otherwise, basically. Yeah, it's hard to see why this is that. The only upside of this approach is that if you come up against a Lost City based build of like Arc decks and your Charizard gets Lost City'd, then you still have a Moltres that can do some big damage. I guess that's like the only credit I can give to a deck like this, but the reason why the Charizard build works despite not having Greninja is that you don't play all these energy cards. So like just playing these energy cards as well then just clunks this list out so much, I think. Yeah, I think that's a hard sell for me. We have a Guardy Mewtwo. Once again, we've seen a decent amount of variation with these at this point, but the keys seem to be doing well with the Guardy-based approach. Sorry, the Mewtwo-based approach. We have 3 more. We have an Arc Dura, or an Arc Toolbox, I should say, because it is playing the Double Drap, the Volp. This is the Shemansky special. Yeah, it still seems to be okay. Like, I know there will be more answers to Vulpix, and it seems like a lot of people are playing Giratina, actually, to try and deal with this deck on the whole, because Giratina should be shredding through this deck, realistically, right? I feel like the Shemansky special doesn't really cover that. We have a Goodra in second place. Pretty streamlined, straightforward Goodra, actually. I like it. Yeah, very just draw good forehead Goodra. Very happy to see that. Looks very cool. The only thing I would say is, once again, I feel like with no Temple, you are without a paddle against Lugia. We then have a Pablo Mew, I want to say. We have another Charizard Lost Box. I feel like all the tricks have already been like shown off in Charizard Lost Box, and now they're like reverting back to a consistency build, which I'm like a much bigger fan of. This is one I really like. It's playing the Pidgeot, but it's not playing the Mawile, so you're just playing Pidgeot as like a mirror tech / consistency option. You're playing Miltank to help you get through Clef Keys when need be. You're playing Basin and a Raihan for some burst with Charizard when need be. You're playing Boss and Switchers. That's pretty spicy to have the spaces for both. What are we skimping out on? It's not the Ball Search, so it's not playing Echoing Horn. But yeah, otherwise it's still pretty okay, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Charizard Lost Box. I think I'm going to be playing it in some of my cups and challenges. We have a Miraidon, which we haven't seen much of ever since Rob's performance, but this looks like a Rob list, actually, where it's playing the Crams and the 15, and yeah, just the aggro supporters. This is a Kimbram top 8 list. Nice. We have a Turbo Lost Zone box. So it seems to be really beating out the Sky Seal Stone. Sky's mostly good into like Arc decks and Mew. And I think Turbo is still better than Sky against Lugia, because finding the Sky in time for you to Raikou is just hard. So I think Turbo is just better than Sky, honestly, from the logic that I've just spoken out loud. What else do we have? Have I gone down this far? Let's have a look anyway. Have more Arctina. This was playing Cleansing Gloves. It lets you 3-10 a Guardi EX of Lost Impact. Wait, is Cleansing just better than Choice Belt in this deck? It still lets you hit Mew, and it lets you... So obviously the downside is you can't do any like Gust knockouts with Arc V-Star, but it has to be an Arc that you've already powered up with another Arc, because it has to be all basic energy to let you to get to 230. Yeah, Cleansings might actually just be better. What are you worse into? Huh, that's actually really interesting. That's a cool idea. Definitely need to explore that myself. That's a cool addition. I think I also missed out this Mew. Let's quickly just make sure. Yeah, some interesting supporters playing like Arven as an extra consistency card. Not too shabby. We'll move on to the latest late night then, which is Late Night 93. And it's the Arc Toolbox once again, getting a big result. Seems pretty good to me. Wait, have I not just gone through this stuff? It seems like I'm deja vuing. No, this is a different Gudra list because it's playing Mawile from the list that we last saw. It's playing Recycler. I'm still kind of against Recycler personally in the list. We have a Infinity Gauntlet build with multiple stones. I think that's going to be my new name for a multi-stone list. A Gauntlet build. A Thanos Lost Box. Answers on a postcard. We'll have a look at another disruptive Mew. So Mew seems to be like back in a big way in these results as well. I think Pablo's definitely given players confidence to bring Mew back and just hand disrupt everyone. This is a wacky list. Look at this. It's playing Roseanne's backup for the extra fusion energy and extra access to these tools. And it's playing 3 one-off stadiums. This is wild. This is absurd. Wow. This is like Roseanne's backup built, like it's entirely built around this one supporter that you just never see in this deck. That is crazy. Someone's cooking. All right, we got. I don't know how good it is. I couldn't tell you. I haven't tested it. We have another Tord Guardi, by the looks of things. We have a Turbo. It's playing its own Penny? Why? You're afraid of, like, your Holu... Do you try and double dip Holucha? Wait, is that the play? It lets you Sableye more aggressively on multiple turns. That's kind of wild. At that point, could you play Agatha for Mirror? So when they sprinkle extra counters on one of your like Confays, you could Agatha it back to one of their guys, and then, huh? Don't mind me, just coming up with bad ideas. We have another Goodra doing well. So Goodra's still doing well. Like, where's all the Lugias? My goodness, Lugia's dropped off to the seventh most popular deck. Why? Lugia's still so good. Why is it dropping so much in play? Has everyone just decided that Duraludon makes... Like, you need to play Duraludon to answer the mirror, but now adding Duraludon makes the deck so much of a pile that it drops way down in win percentage. Is that actually what's happening right now? Or is the wave of Mew and Guardy just too much for Lugia to deal with? I feel like Lugia's okay into Guardy, but maybe I'm just wrong there. Lugia seems super underplayed. I've barely even looked at any lists that have done well over the last week or so of Lugia. Just completely dropped off. So strange. We have our last one though with looks like a Zard Lost Box doing well once again. This looks like a Pedro net deck. Where we have the heavy gear and the boss. Yeah, it looks like a Pedro list. We have a DTE-based build of Mew. Once again, these seems to be doing really well. Just hand disrupt everyone. Just make everyone brick. Only one man can play the game. This looks more like a Pablo 60. We have a Goo with the V-Guard. So many people aren't playing the Sinnoh. It's so strange. Where's the Lugia gone to punish these people? Wait, what is this? Hello? Hello? Magnezone X. The Prophecy. What is this? It's even playing Generator. What is this support account as well? This is kooky. Its only tool is belts, and it plays 3 Arven just to hit your candies, basically. Huh. Wild. That's crazy. I don't advocate for Magnezone X in major tournaments, but my goodness. We have a Trekking Shoe DTU Mew this time. Oh no, sorry, it's a Fusion Mew. A Fusion Mew that's made the space for shoes. How does it find the room? I guess it's just quite skimpy on supporters. Huh, interesting. We have... What is this now? What? 31 energy? Wait, it's just YOLOing Glaciated World with good odds because you've adventurers every other card out of your deck. Wait, how does it... It doesn't get to the bottom of the deck, it just YOLO Aquastorms at some point. This is insane. So the plan is to Irida and Adventurers so many Kyurem out that you just randomly Glaciated World constantly to just like cycle the cards out of your deck, right? Because you're constantly discarding the bad cards, and if it's water, you're attaching around the board, so you can do big Max Frosts. And then also Kyogre is like that panic wombo. Genius. Chef's kiss. 6-2 record right there. And then we do actually have one more Lugia. Okay, so this is like the only like Lugia... Wow, only 2 stadiums in this list and 1 tower. My goodness. Okay. I'm honestly stunned about the lack of Lugia's presence and just like where is it in the top 8? Is the metagame really changed that much that Lugia... So Lugia's more popular in this time around, but the late night, it just really wasn't anywhere to be seen. I'd like to hear your thoughts on, firstly, Lugia, and how it's, like, dropped off, apparently. And secondly, just, like, the results in general. It seems like a lot of Arc Tina and Lost Tina doing really well this weekend. or sorry, this last week or so of results. So I'll hear your thoughts all down below while I process what I've just what I've just watched from this Kirim. Oh dearie me. Alright, I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Cheers.